The WNBA's carefully crafted narrative may have just hit a brick wall. Indiana Governor Eric Braun didn't hold back when he publicly challenged the league's silence on a viral video of Brittney Griner allegedly making racially charged remarks about Caitlin Clark. While the league jumped headfirst into investigating bogus racism claims against Indiana Fever fans, with no evidence, no names, and no outcome, it completely ignored an actual video clip seen by millions. Braun's comments weren't just political theater. They were a direct warning shot. The double standard was no longer a quiet controversy whispered about on message boards. It was now front-page news. For years, the league has drawn criticism for favoring certain players while treating others like scapegoats. But now, with a state governor putting public pressure on league executives, the story has escalated far beyond basketball. The storm has officially landed. If this feels like the WNBA's moment of reckoning, hit that like button, subscribe for more unfiltered coverage, and comment no more double standards if the league needs to face the same scrutiny it forced on innocent fans.
She accused the Indiana Fever fan base of being racist. They investigated it. They said those accusations were false. The least that she could do is apologize to our great state and the fans that show up at these games and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Obviously, she's not going to do that. But also, Dan, why isn't the Indiana Fever apologizing to their own fan base for putting them through that, for going through those types of accusations? I mean, those are awful accusations. They weren't true. The fans weren't shouting racial slurs toward Angel Reese or opposing players. I mean, where is Caitlin Clark? Where is the Indiana Fever? Where is the WNBA saying that investigation there shouldn't have been an investigation? The allegations were false. Where's the apology? It hasn't happened. It's disappointing. As someone who is, my daughters are fans of the team. They've gone to games to see Caitlin Clark. It's so demeaning to our state and to the fan base to go through something like that.
What began as a dominant Indiana Fever quickly spiraled into something far more sinister. After the Chicago Sky suffered a humiliating 30-point loss, rumors surfaced accusing Fever fans of shouting racial slurs at Angel Reese and other opposing players. Within hours, the WNBA launched a formal investigation. No video evidence existed, no audio surfaced, no credible eyewitnesses came forward. And yet the league allocated resources to chase what turned out to be a phantom narrative. Days later, the results came in, completely unsubstantiated. There were no slurs, no threats, no wrongdoing by fans. But the damage had already been done.
Everyone deserves the right to play. Everyone deserves the right to come here, sit in these seats, and feel safe, and not feel like there's a threat or they can't be who they are. Definitely will be speaking up against that legislation and those laws that are trying to be passed, for sure.
The national media had latched onto the story, dragging Fever supporters through the mud and painting Gainbridge Fieldhouse as a hostile environment. Despite clearing the fans of any misconduct, the WNBA refused to issue a formal apology. That silence struck a nerve across Indiana. The league's eagerness to assume guilt based on rumor alone, while refusing to take responsibility once the claims were proven false, exposed a disturbing willingness to vilify the wrong people. For many, this wasn't just a misstep, it was a betrayal. The moment that ignited the firestorm was caught on camera. In a now viral video circulating across social media, Brittney Griner appears to make a heated comment during a game that many interpreted as calling Caitlin Clark trash, and more alarmingly, a white girl.
Brittney Griner is playing a game, and this is what Brittney Griner calls. I was not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Well, that pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
The footage spread rapidly, amassing millions of views and prompting immediate backlash. Fans demanded answers, clarity, and action. Yet, as the pressure mounted, both Griner and the WNBA remained silent. No clarification, no denial, no investigation. Supporters of Griner claimed she was actually referring to a referee's call, calling it whack, not making a racial comment. But if the context was so innocent, why the radio silence from both Griner and league officials? Why has no statement been issued to explain what happened? The lack of transparency speaks volumes. When false accusations were made against Fever fans, the league jumped into action within hours. But when a top player faces credible backlash tied to real video, the WNBA suddenly develops amnesia. That double standard didn't go unnoticed, and fans aren't staying quiet anymore. A clear pattern has emerged, and it's one that fans, analysts, and now elected officials are no longer willing to ignore. Caitlin Clark, the biggest name to hit the WNBA in decades, has been under the microscope since her debut. Every gesture, every foul, every quote, no matter how minor, has triggered endless scrutiny. Opposing players shove her on the court and face no repercussions. Media outlets dissect her demeanor, question her sportsmanship, and suggest she deserves the treatment. Meanwhile, players like Brittney Griner appear to operate under an entirely different set of rules.
Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are the best gift that the WNBA has ever had. I mean, and the fans that show up and pack that place, I mean, sell out crowds every time Caitlin Clark plays. It's so great for Indiana, but it's good for the WNBA. But how dare you accuse our fans, the Hoosiers that show up at these games, being racist when they're not? I mean, that was just an opposing player who hates Caitlin Clark. Frankly, it's a great rivalry for the teams and for the sport. But don't accuse our fans of being racist. I mean, that's the kind of garbage that gets thrown around all the time. It wasn't true. The investigation proved it, and there was no outcome of it. There was no apology. Apologize to the fans. I mean, that's a simple thing to do, and I wish the team would have been more emphatic about that. Stand up, stick up for your fan base. I mean, that's who's keeping you alive. So maybe they'll still do that. I don't know. I mean, I tweeted that Angel Reese should apologize, and my tweet got a lot of reactions.
When Griner allegedly hurled a racially charged insult during a heated game, the league's reaction wasn't scrutiny or accountability, it was silence. That contrast is striking. When Clark is even perceived to be disrespectful, it becomes a national conversation. But when Griner is caught on video making inflammatory remarks, the league acts like nothing happened. This two-tiered approach to discipline and public narrative has shattered trust with fans. It's no longer just speculation. With each passing incident, the message becomes clearer. Some players get protection, others get punished. The temperature of the conversation changed the moment Indiana Governor Eric Braun went on record. His words weren't vague political pleasantries. They were direct, forceful, and impossible to ignore. Braun publicly called out the WNBA for its handling of both the fake racism allegations against Fever fans and the viral video involving Brittney Griner. In his view, the league's response was not just inadequate, it was disgracefully one-sided. During his radio appearance, Braun didn't mince words. He questioned why the WNBA had failed to issue an apology to Indiana fans after they were falsely accused. More importantly, he pointed out the glaring inconsistency. Why was there no similar urgency to investigate Griner's comments, especially when actual footage exists? His statement, "I think if there was some look into what Angel Reese did, I think it would be good to put that to rest as well," sent shockwaves through the sports world. This wasn't just a basketball debate anymore. A sitting governor was now applying pressure on a professional sports league to follow its own rules. And for a league already struggling with credibility, this was a direct hit to the foundation. Caitlin Clark isn't just an athlete, she's an economic engine. Since her arrival, the Indiana Fever have experienced a level of attention that's unprecedented in the franchise's history. Every game she plays sells out. Ratings spike, merchandise flies off the shelves, and her presence alone transforms midweek matchups into must-watch television. She's filled arenas in cities where WNBA attendance used to be a footnote. Even Indiana's Gainbridge Fieldhouse now rivals NBA-level energy when Clark steps on the floor. In stark contrast, Brittney Griner's name has become increasingly linked to controversy. Her return to the league after her high-profile detainment overseas was met with support, but her recent behavior, including the alleged comments caught on video, has reignited criticism. What makes this even more significant is that Griner, once the league's media darling, now represents a growing liability in the eyes of many fans. The difference in public perception is massive. One player is bringing in millions of dollars and redefining the league's popularity. The other is drawing headlines for all the wrong reasons. Governor Braun's defense of Clark wasn't just about loyalty, it was about protecting the best thing to happen to Indiana basketball in a generation. What began as a league controversy is now boiling into a full-blown political flashpoint. After Governor Braun's remarks gained traction, U.S. Senator Jim Banks stepped into the spotlight, calling for the WNBA to formally apologize to Indiana Fever fans for what he labeled a disgraceful and baseless investigation. This wasn't just a show of support for constituents, it was a direct indictment of the league's decision-making process. When elected officials begin questioning the credibility of a sports league's internal investigations, it signals a much deeper issue. These aren't partisan jabs, they're bipartisan calls for fairness and transparency. Caitlin Clark's influence has clearly reached beyond the hardwood and into the political sphere, not because of lobbying or PR efforts, but because fans and voters across the country are fed up. The message is unmistakable. The public is watching, and so are the lawmakers. The league's inaction toward Brittney Griner's viral comments while pursuing and proving claims against Clark's supporters has exposed a fracture in the WNBA's foundation. Political pressure is no longer looming, it's here, and ignoring it is no longer an option. The WNBA has long projected itself as a champion of equity, justice, and unity. But as this controversy snowballs, that narrative is beginning to unravel in real time. Fans aren't just frustrated, they're furious. The contrast in how different players are treated has exposed a system built on selective enforcement, not fairness. Brittney Griner can appear to make inflammatory remarks on video and walk away without consequence. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, gets criticized for everything from facial expressions to post-game handshakes. That discrepancy has become so glaring that even casual observers are taking notice. The league's silence isn't protecting its image anymore, it's eroding it. What once appeared to be a progressive, player-focused institution now looks like an echo chamber that protects a chosen few. And with politicians like Governor Braun and Senator Banks joining the chorus of critics, the WNBA no longer controls the narrative. The longer it stalls, the more credibility it loses. The media spin isn't working. The league's leadership is being forced to confront what fans have seen for months, a system that punishes dissent and rewards favoritism. The carefully curated image is cracking, and the truth is spilling out. This moment represents more than a scandal. It's a turning point. For years, the WNBA has navigated criticism by leaning into its branding as a progressive league, unafraid to speak truth to power. But now that same league is being called out by governors, senators, and its own fan base for doing exactly what it claimed to oppose: silencing accountability, protecting favored players, and punishing others without due process. The viral video of Brittney Griner didn't just spark outrage, it revealed a long-standing system of bias that many believe has undermined the league's legitimacy. Caitlin Clark, despite her meteoric rise and record-breaking contributions to the game, has been forced to weather constant criticism while receiving little institutional support. Meanwhile, players who antagonize her, on or off the court, appear shielded from the consequences. But that protection may be crumbling. Political pressure has changed the landscape. The WNBA now faces a no-win situation: investigate Griner and admit past failures, or continue ignoring the backlash and lose even more public trust. Either path leads to a reckoning. The house of cards is trembling. If the league truly wants to survive this moment, it must stop playing favorites and start playing fair. Comment no more double standards if the WNBA needs to be held accountable. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the biggest stories shaking the world of basketball.